Hi everyone, this is Melissa, teaching artist and art therapist at Project Create. Project Create is a community-based nonprofit organization located in Washington, D.C., serving children, youth, and families, and providing free art education and enrichment classes. Today I'm happy to show you how to create a watercolor mandala using the wet on wet technique. What you're going to need today is some watercolor paper or heavy, thick paper, watercolor paint. If you don't have watercolor paint, you can also use food coloring, a couple of brushes, some cups of water to clean your brushes, something that you can trace to make a circle. I have a bowl here, a pencil, and finally a few scraps of paper. I have paper towels here. So to get started, we are going to create our mandala. I'm going to turn my bowl over. Mandala is just a fancy word for circle. It comes from the ancient Indian language Sanskrit, and it just means circle. So after we have our mandala, we're going to take a little bit of water and our brush, and we are going to paint with the water only. We are going to paint the inside of the circle, being very careful, going around the edge of the circle, staying inside the line. And then filling in the circle with a light coat of water. If you're not sure if you've covered it, you can kind of hold it up to the light and you can see if there are any areas in the circle that I didn't quite cover. And I see one right over here. So I'm just gonna get that. And I'm just gonna go around the edges again. If you're working with watercolor paper, when you touch the watercolor paper, you'll notice that there's a little bit of a tooth to it. And when you wet it, what happens is you start to wake up the fibers of the paper. And when you do that, you end up having the water kind of float on top. Yeah, so I can see now I've covered the whole circle. Now, after you do that, I'm going to actually show you how to work with the watercolors themselves or the dye, but I'll start with the watercolors. I'm going to be working with a slightly smaller brush. And what you're going to do next is dip your brush in the water. And I'm going to get a paper towel. Hit here on the side. Dip your brush in the water. And I'm just going to add a few drops of water to all the different colors in my watercolor palette to get it ready. And then I'm going to choose a color. I think I'm going to go with purple. I'm going to load up my brush with that color. Get a lot of paint on my brush. And then I'm going to bring it over here to the mandala. And I'm just going to start to drop paint onto the mandala. And you'll notice that as I drop it in, it starts to spread. Since I've already made it really wet, I'm going to add just a little more water there. So what I'm going to begin to do, I'm going to put my brush down for a minute, and I'm going to start to move my paper around just a little bit. I'm going very, very slowly, and I'm starting to notice the paint is spreading because of that water that I initially put down there. And I'm being really careful because I want to keep it inside the circle. Because I only wet the inside of the circle, it's going to pretty much, the paint is going to pretty much stay inside. Maybe at this point, I want to add another color. I'm going to go with blue. And let's see what happens when I add another color. Look at that. Already the colors are starting to interact. And so again, I'm just going to start to slowly move it around, and you can see that I'm bending the edge of the paper a little bit, and I have quite a bit of water on there. And you can see how the colors are starting to blend. One part is more blue, one part is more pink, one part is more purple. And it's really enjoyable just to watch how it changes and transforms. Maybe I want to add a little more blue. And this can be a really fun project to explore color mixing and see what happens when you add different colors. Almost reminds me of some kind of planet now. Maybe this time I'm going to add a little red. What happens if I add red? Maybe a little blue, more blue. I want it to be darker. And more purple. Oh, my colors are getting much bolder. On this side, it's really concentrated, and on this side, it's really light. I kind of like that contrast. One thing to know about watercolors is they appear much darker when they're wet, and they tend to dry lighter. Another thing with this project is you might find that you don't have enough water on your paper. So you can always go back and you can dip your brush in and add a little more water. You can also, if you have too much water like I do here, I feel like that's a little too much, you can go take a dry brush and you can absorb some of the water. So I'm going to start to do that. So it's a really thirsty brush. There, so I don't have as much water now. I really liked that look of the blue. I love this area down here. I think I want to add a little more blue. So I'm going to add more paint. And I don't have a lot of water left. It's starting to dry. But you can still see it moving in the circle just a little bit. I think I want it to be a little bit darker down here of this purple color. This is a really fun project. Anybody can do it. And the results of it are going to be different for everybody. Still moving, there's still just a little bit of water left. All right, I think I'm just about done with this one. And you can keep working with it as long as you like. And it's a good idea just to keep moving it around, because eventually the water is going to absorb into the paper, and that very slight movement that you're making is helping to dry it. Sometimes for effect I even blow it a little bit. Right, so you have one that's finished. Now, I was also going to show you, if you don't have watercolors, you can also work with food coloring. If you choose to do that, you want to be careful, because as you can see, I've been working with the food coloring. It's dyed my hands. And if it gets on your clothes, it will dye your clothes. So if you're going to work with the food coloring, be sure to wear something that you don't mind getting any kind of ink on. and working in an environment where it's going to be okay if you accidentally spill. I'm going to prepare the next mandala. And get some clean water. And so this food coloring is really concentrated. So you just need a few drops. I put about 4 there. And it's fun, I think, to work with the primary colors. So I'm going to work with blue, yellow, and red. And those are primary colors because when you mix 2 of these together, you get another color. Yellow and red makes orange. Red and blue makes purple. Blue and yellow make green. And so orange, purple, and green are secondary colors. And those are fun to play with when you're working with mandala because you see the mixing happening. So after you put some dots, little dots or drips of the food coloring, I'm going to add a little bit of water. Don't need a lot. I'm just swishing them a little tiny bit, being really gentle. And so they're ready to go. So I'm going to start by cleaning my big brush. And like we did with the other one, we're going to start by painting with water. I'm going to paint the inside of the circle. I'm going to go around the edge, start with the edge. Go all the way around. Then paint the middle. And then I'm just gonna check to see if I got everything. I see a few areas that I missed. A few little dry areas. Some over here. Okay. So now we're going to work with these colors here. I think I'll start with yellow. I'm going to drop in a little bit of yellow. You can see it's really bright. I'm going to start to just move it around a little bit. And maybe I won't cover the whole thing because I want to do several colors. And I'm really excited to see how the colors mix. So maybe now I'm going to try a little bit of red, maybe just here at the top. And I'm wanting to see how the red and the yellow mix. And you can see that it's starting to turn just a little bit orange. I'm excited to try the blue out. I think the blue is going to be really pretty. So now the blue is mixing with the yellow. It's really, really pretty. It's very pale. But because I really love really intense color, I think I'm gonna lift off some of this water with my dry brush. Don't need quite as much. And I'm going to add more color. I'm going to go back with more yellow. And you might find this takes a while. Process encourages you just to slow down and to notice different changes. It's really fun just to watch. Sometimes when I do this, I like to think about maybe something that I'm feeling that I'm trying to capture. Or maybe it's something like feeling calm. Or maybe the opposite of that, maybe feeling more energized. And choosing colors that go with that kind of feeling. Maybe even thinking about things that I want to hold on to, things that I'm hoping for, and putting that inside the mandala. Maybe I'll just let that set for a minute. And I'm going to go back to the one we originally were working with. And I'm noticing that there have been the pools of water just kind of settled in the middle there. And if you're not happy with that before it dries, you can move it around a little bit more. You can even go back and add some water to soften any lines. You can go back over. You can just paint over the top and do a wash of a certain color if you want to. It's fun just to kind of experiment and see what happens. If areas get dry, like I just did, I just went over with a brush and just brushed over that area that was a little bit dry because it's hard to move the water around. You can do that. Happier with that one. Going back to this one. I'm going to add a little more blue to the edge here. I'm thinking this one is just about done, although there's a lot of water here. You can keep swirling it around and around and around, and eventually it will dry and you can lift it. It's fun to watch. This one is starting to look like clouds to me, as these very little lines right here start to blend. So I hope you enjoyed this process as much as I did today. I hope you find it something relaxing, something fun to do. It would be wonderful to hear from you, to hear what you thought about this today, to see some of your work. You can email me and let me know at programs@projectcreatedc.org. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye.